The dim glow of the lantern in the Oak Ridge Tavern cast long shadows across the scarred wooden floor as Ryan Caldwell pointed his revolver straight at Thomas Hale's chest. The gunshot roared like thunder, slamming Thomas backward onto his knees, a burning hole tearing through his shirt. Through the fog of agony, he heard her cry out his name, Sophia. She burst through the swinging doors, her satchel of herbs and bandages clutched tight, her dark eyes fierce with defiance. "Perfect," Ryan snarled, swinging the barrel toward her. "Now I can end you both." Thomas tried to stand, but his legs buckled. Could a man who'd survived the Alamo's echoes, who'd buried his first wife with quiet grace, who'd never run from a fight, could he survive this? And could a love born in the fires of resistance hold against an entire town's scorn? 6 months earlier, Thomas Hale was a rock in the Texas Hill Country. At 55, he owned 3,000 acres of prime ranch land outside Oak Ridge, ran a crew of 10 hands, and hadn't skipped a church service in 15 years. Folks respected him for his steady hand with a rifle, his ironclad promises, and his knack for staying out of other people's messes. The bank extended him credit without question, and no woman had warmed his bed since Emily succumbed to fever 7 winters ago. That all changed when Sophia Ramirez showed up at his gate on a dusty October morning, leading a lame gelding with unfamiliar brands. She looked worn from the trail, her father's old serape draped over a figure that could turn heads in any saloon. When she pushed back her hood, revealing that cascade of raven hair, Thomas felt a pull he thought long dead. "Mr. Hale," she said, her voice thick with fatigue and a south-of-the-border lilt, "I need work, and a safe place." Thomas eyed her sharp mid-20s, maybe, hands smooth but marked by hardship, a faint scar across her cheek, eyes that held stories of joy and pain. "Running from trouble?" he asked. "My husband," she replied, the word hanging heavy like storm clouds. Thomas clenched his jaw. He'd sworn off meddling in marital spats. But something in her gazia, fierce spirit, a battered resilience reminded him of the wild broncs he'd tamed on these rolling hills. "Can you cook?" he finally asked. "Better than any gal in these parts. Clean, spotless as a Sunday pew. And when your man comes hunting," Sophia's fingers brushed the dagger at her belt, a slim blade with an antler handle, "he'll regret it." Thomas hired her that day. For 2 months, they danced around each other like wary coyotes. Sophia proved her worth. Meals that could make a man forget his sorrows, a house gleaming like new, mended clothes stitched with care. She got a small room off the kitchen and wages to squirrel away for whatever lay ahead. But it was the little things that chipped away at his walls away. She sang soft Spanish tunes while churning butter, her hips swaying gently. How she'd stop to watch the sunset gild the oaks, her face soft with yearning. The night he caught her crying by the window, fingers tracing faded bruises. He ignored it at first, but one evening, as she mended his socks by the fire, he surprised them both with word from his old army days down near the Rio Grande. "Poor Kay Loris?" Sophia looked up, tears glinting. "I cry because I remember happiness." That was Thomas Hale's first slip, the upright widower, the town's steady anchor. He reached out, thumbing a tear from her cheek. Sophia's breath hitched, lips parting, and for a heartbeat, the 3 decades between them evaporated. Then she pulled back, cheeks flushing. "Forgive me, sir. I shouldn't know," Thomas said softly. "You shouldn't." But the spark was lit. From then on, the air hummed with tension. Sophia would stretch for a shelf, her arm grazing his. Thomas lingered in the kitchen, inhaling her scent of cinnamon and wildflowers. Fingers brushed over plates, each touch a spark in the dry grass. The storm broke the night Sophia's husband came calling. Thomas was tending the barn when her scream pierced the dusk. He grabbed his Winchester and bolted inside, finding Sophia cornered by a wiry man with a face like weathered leather Luis Garcia, eyes cold as a rattler's. "Mi mujer," Luis hissed, voice smooth as venom. "Time to head home." "Never," Sophia whispered. Luis grinned, flashing stained teeth. "The last fool who kept you from me ended up coyote bait." Thomas stepped from the shadows, rifle leveled. "She said no." Luis sized him up, the graying hair, the unyielding stance. "You're too old for this, abuelo. Back off." "Can't." The standoff cracked in seconds. Luis drew first, quick as lightning, but Thomas hadn't outlasted border skirmishes and cattle wars by being slow. His shot dropped Luis clean, a hole through his chest. Sophia stared at the body, then at Thomas, eyes wide with awe and fear. "You killed him. Had to. His kin will come. They don't forget." That night, as they buried Luis in the hard earth behind the stable, Sophia spilled her tale. Sold to Luis at 16 to settle family debts. 5 years of beatings and chains before she stole the horse and fled north. 3 days without rest. Death at her heels. "Why here? Why my spread?" Thomas asked about the fresh dirt. "I heard the gringo who fought fair in the wars, treated his hands right, never cheated or preyed on the weak." She met his eyes in the torchlight. "I hope for mercy." Sophia stepped close, heat radiating between them. "Now I think fate had other plans." Thomas's defenses were shattered. He'd held firm for months, proper as a preacher, but with death fresh and life throbbing, rules felt like chains. "Sophia," he rasped, "I'm old enough to be your pa, but you're not." Her hand pressed to his chest. "You're the man who saved me, the one who makes me feel whole. The town will let them whisper." She rose on her toes, lips brushing his. "Kiss me, Thomas Hale, before we burn up wanting." He kissed her, tentative at first, but Sophia surged forward, arms around his neck, body molding to his. It turned fierce, a dam breaking after years of drought. They stumbled to his room, clothes shedding like old skin. Sophia's form in the lamplight was a vision, golden skin etched with survival's marks. Thomas's hands trembled, tracing her curves, her breath quickening at his touch. She explored his scars with reverence, meeting his passion with fire. They moved as one, fierce and tender, nails digging, names gasped like vows. After, tangled in sheets, Sophia's head on his chest, she murmured, "What now?" Thomas stroked her back. "We face it together. If the town turns, we ride out. If his kin come, I'll handle him." Sophia lifted her gaze. "You give all up? This was just waiting to die. You woke me up." Word spread like wildfire in Oak Ridge. By Sunday, the churchgoers buzzed. Thomas Hale shacked up with a young Mexican gal, barely out of her teens. By afternoon, whispers painted her as a killer's widow. By evening, the whole town speculated on the Hale Ranch scandals. Thomas felt the glares as he fetched supplies, Sophia beside him on the buckboard, chin high. "Or," muttered Clara Jenkins from the mercantile. "Cradle snatcher," grumbled Hank Riley outside the feed store. "Shame on Emily's memory," sniffed Widow Ellis. Thomas's knuckles whitened on the reins, but Sophia touched his hand. Words don't draw blood, but they stung business. Cattle buyers vanished, the bank tightened loans, and 2 hands quit cold. "Maybe they're right," Sophia said one firelit night, guilt heavy. "I should go." "No," Thomas growled. "I won't lose you to their small minds. But your life, you're my life now." Tears shone in her eyes. "I love you, God forgive me, more than breath." Then the shots came. Bullets shattered the window, splintering the door. Thomas grabbed his rifle. Sophia dove behind the table, her pocket pistol ready, the one he'd given her post-Luis. "Hale!" An accented voice bellowed. "You murder my brother." 3. Maybe 4, Thomas whispered, peeking out. Sophia paled. Alejandro Luis's older brother. Worse than him. Come out, coward. Thomas slipped out back, knowing his land like his veins. The fight was savage. He dropped Alejandro mid-draw, plugged Miguel in the shadows. But Pablo grazed his side, spinning him. Pablo turned on Sophia as she emerged, the little pewter time for fun. Sophia's pistol cracked twice. Pablo fell. In a hush, Thomas clutched his wound, staring at his savior. It's done, she said flatly. But dawn brought the town. Sheriff Harlan, Mayor Caldwell, Pastor Reed, and a posse eyeing 4 dead Mexicans. Self-defense, Thomas stated. They came for my woman. Your woman? Mayor Caldwell sneered. A man your age with a girl like that? Disgrace. Watch your tongue, Thomas warned, hand on his holster. Sophia stepped up. I'm Sophia Ramirez. Wed to Luis Garcia, who beat me like a dog. I fled. This man sheltered me. When his kin came, we fought back. She faced the crowd. If loving a good man damns me, I'll face God, not you. Pastor Reed stammered. The good book says, it says judge not. Sophia cut in. Silence fell. Sheriff Harlan nodded. No crime in defending your own. But this can't go on, Hale. Then we'll find new ground, Thomas said, arm around her. 3 weeks on, Thomas stood in the tavern with a deed in pocket, sold the ranch to an Austin outfit. Enough cash for a fresh start where stairs wouldn't follow. Sure about this? Harlan asked over whiskey. Dead sure. The door banged open. Ryan Caldwell staggered in, eyes blazing hate. He'd been mouthing off about Sophia since the shootings. Looky here, Ryan slurred. The town's dirty old man. The room tensed. Ryan, Harlan warned, back off. I'm done watching this fool parade that Mexican trash. Thomas moved, but Ryan drew faster. The shot hammered Thomas's chest. He crumpled. Sophia's scream echoed as she rushed in, bag in hand her healer's skills for village days. Ryan whirled. Now for you. Harlan's bullet felled Ryan. Sophia knelt, tearing Thomas's shirt. Bullets lodged near the heart, she said, tears falling. I can fix this. Bandages, whiskey knife. For an hour, Sophia worked miracles, mixing herbs fetched from the ranch, probing, stitching. Thomas faded in and out, but her voice anchored him. Don't you die on minute when we're free. Date. Pocket, he gasped. Sold it. Her eyes widened. You fool. I'd stay anywhere with you. Standing, she faced the gawking crowd. Hear me. I'm Sophia Ramirez Hale. We wed this morning at the border chapel, in God's eyes and the law's. Speak against that to my face. Gasps rippled. Widow Ellis stepped up first. Congrats, Mrs. Hale. Others followed, not all, but enough. Harlan grinned. That changes things. 3 months later, Thomas mended enough to travel. They loaded the wagon and headed northwest to Oregon's apple orchards, where past didn't matter. Oak Ridge had shifted. Sophia's bravery won hearts, but Thomas wanted peace. You don't have to leave, Harlan said at parting. Folks are coming around. We've paid our dues, Thomas replied, holding Sophia. She smiled. Paradise ain't a spot, it's us together. As the wagon rolled into the sunrise, they left whispers behind, bound for a life of quiet joys, hand in hand, hearts full. What do you think about Thomas and Sophia's story? Drop a comment below with your taquito. You side with the town's judgments on age and backgrounds, or root for love conquering all. Share your stance. I'd love to hear your views.